Hello, everyone. I am Christina Bart, your host of Black Tea News. Hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. That's another exciting day because the tea is good today. The tea is once again good today. Today, I'm going to be talking about Nicki Minaj and the story. It's still going. We've been talking about it the past 3 days in one respect or another. The other day, maybe it was Tuesday, talked about it quite a bit. And I mentioned it a little bit yesterday, but the story, it keeps going because it keeps evolving into other things. And Nicki is saying some things that make a lot of sense yesterday. So at first, for those of you who don't know, she tweeted something about a situation with a cousin's friend who claimed that he had a reaction to the vaccine that's not a normal thing that they say happens. He said that his balls swell up. And so people are saying that's not true, and people are saying that she's spreading misinformation. And Joy Reid got into it and was like, "Oh, I'm so disappointed. You're saying information that could lead to people dying. And so why wouldn't you take offense to that?" And so my attitude was, Nicki Minaj is a rapper, and if you read the thread, she's having conversations with people. And the most troubling thing is that people are telling her that they cannot work unless they get it. And she herself isn't saying that you shouldn't take the vaccine, because she's in a similar boat of, I want to tour, so I'm probably gonna have to take it myself. So she never said not to take it. But the thing that really upset people, if we're being honest, is the fact that she said, pray about it, research it, and etc. They just want everybody to shut up and take it. They want everybody to shut up and take it. And so, and whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, I think that's a hill we all need to be willing to die on, about them wanting to forcibly put stuff in people's arms. That's, I think, where we need to all be united. So anyway, Joy Reid said something about her. So she was doing the clapbacks. So if you want to go back and watch that other episode, I got a lot of the tweets and showing them. And she made some remarks about Joy, about her being an Uncle Tom, which I don't think it's fair to call everybody who disagrees with you some kind of racial slur. But it is karma for Joy, because she does that to Tim Scott, and she does that to Clarence Thomas and any other black Republican. Well, not any other, but that's a sentiment basically. But she's gone after them, and other people have gone after them and called them a token. And they like to play these political games. So if anyone deserved that kind of clapback, it was definitely Joy. So I enjoyed it. But Nicki said something to a larger point, like, and I'm not going to say that specifically this was the thing that was done in this situation, but you have a black person, and you'll put that black person against another black person to tear that black person down. Because if a white person does it, which leftists actually do let white liberals get away with calling out and going after black people all the time, but she's a cultural icon, so it's a little bit different, and someone that they think should probably be on their side. So they have so a lot of people will have a black person try to tear another black person down, and this isn't something that just happens on the left. This is just something that happens blanket. Actually, the experience happened to us on the right, where people actually try to do that. And I won't go into that situation, but it's true. And so Tucker Carlson and other people are pointing out that they don't like that. They really don't like the fact that she said research it and make a choice yourself. And so yesterday I talked about Larry Elder losing, the recall failing, I guess that's a better way to put it. And Newsom ran away with the thing. So the question was, why were they so unnecessarily vicious, so slanderous with Larry Elder when it wasn't necessary? And I came to the conclusion that because he's seen as the uppity Negro that's out of his place, acting out of where they said that he should be in. It's bad enough that he is a black person who dares to not be a Democrat, but to be influential in that sphere and to actually try to take something away from their elitist poster boy, Gavin Newsom. How dare you? So they have to put someone like him in his place. And that's something that happens repeatedly. They try to put Tim Scott in his place. And really make it seem like there's a big deficit between Democrats and Republicans as far as the ethnicity of senators, because the Republicans have one black senator and Democrats have two. So they don't have a big ethnic, deficit as far as black senators. But they really try to make that a huge thing, and they'll call him an Uncle Tom, and all sorts of nasty things, and just believe that they can get away with it. So, I've noticed people trying to say so about Chief Craig, who's trying to run for governor. It'll only get worse. He was heckled pretty bad the other day, and you guys know, people say such awful things to me repeatedly all the time because I'm a black Republican. And when I started my like TikTok account and stuff, really I was taking clips of my videos from here, and I would put them on TikTok. And I did a few response kind of videos and stuff, and I do an impression of Jen Psaki that is pretty good and pretty funny. So I put stuff of that on there. But people started reacting and would call me racial things, and then I'd react to those racial things, and then all of a sudden my account me attacking these people who are attacking me, and then people are like, "Why are you always putting down black people?" I'm not putting down black people. I talk about people's values. I talk about their policies. I talk about their behaviors. I don't want to talk about race all the time. But when you come in my channel and you call me an Uncle Tom because we have a difference of opinion on, I don't know, the minimum wage or something, or if I want to see the facts of a case involving a police shooting or something, that doesn't make me an Uncle Tom. It just makes me a critical thinker, you know. But the point is that they're just kind of programmed to react this way because I've stepped off of their thought plantation. That's why they're really upset with Kanye. When he's like, I like the way that Candace Owens think. They don't want other people to see that it's acceptable to possibly think differently, because the black population, more than any other ethnic group in America, their identity is tied to their color. And Democrats try to make being Democrat tied to that blackness. So if someone comes and disrupts that at all, they have to come in hard and destroy them. So Nicki has made some remarks along those lines. So that's why I said she's red-pilled. She's kind of giving me life right now, so I'm really excited. I'm going to talk about some other things as well, not just the Nicki thing, but it's the hot news. It's the hot news. There's some other things that are obviously going on. The White House is pumping the brakes on allowing some particular treatments of COVID that some red states like Florida have been using, and now they're saying it's a matter of equity. And then they said, "Oh, well, we're not doing that." And then Jen said, "We're not doing that. That's not accurate." And then she went ahead and explained why they were doing it. So, of course, more lying from the Biden administration. And briefly, we want to talk a little bit about the Mark Milley situation. He promised China that if there was an attack that he would give them a heads up, and they're our enemy, so that's really not cool. And so the White House is right now backing him, and I got some more thoughts to say about that. But before I get into that, I'm going to go through this Nicki thing. But before I jump into all that, please visit blackteennews.com. Check out content that I have on the website. If you enjoy what I do, please consider leaving a donation at blackteennews.com/donate so we can keep this thing going. I would like to thank Brighter Michigan PAC for allowing me to use the studio. If I say something today that triggers you, they don't care. I don't care. It doesn't work like that. They're not my boss. I'm just using the space, so thank you to them. But there's no one to cry to. And I don't have a leftist tears tumblers, but I will get you something like that if you want to cry into something. But there's no one to report your tears to. You'll have to drink them yourself. Okay, so I want to let me quickly just go through my store a little bit. Some stuff that I got on there. Denounce white supremacy, defeat Joe Biden. That's really becoming more relevant as time goes on. I'm not the victim you're looking for. That's super relevant. Got black tea, new stuff. You are not that special, and got those on cute little adorable mugs and other stuff. So let's jump into the funny of the day. You guys know I like to start with a meme or a comic and so on. So, and this is on topic. So George Alexopoulos, who does a lot of the political comics I like to show you, he did this one about Nicki going to the White House and putting hot sauce on the COVID vaccine and Jen Psaki offering it up to make it more palpable for Nicki Minaj. So that's hilarious. I think that came out today. He said he likes to get up early in the morning and does this, works on his comic. He obviously works very fast, does very good work. That is hilarious. But for those of you who do not know, Nicki claimed that she was invited to the White House to talk to Dr. Fauci and other people about the safety of the vaccine and so on. So, some other people were saying, no, they said that she would have a phone call. So she did go on Instagram and was like, when have I ever told you guys a lie like that? Or why would I lie about something like that? Get up and say I was invited to the White House and wasn't really invited to the White House. And she claims her publicist and someone else on her team was in on the phone call. But she told them, the White House is saying, well, we offered a call. She's saying that she's the one who brought up the call because she hasn't really been anywhere because she got a baby and she is concerned about COVID, but she's also leery of the vaccine. So she's been kind of indoors, keep taking care of her child. So, and that's where this all kind of like started because there's people like, she's not at the Met Gala, where is she? And she's like, I'm at home with a child. I'm at home with my child. And she said, if I was going to and they want you to be vaccinated if you go, and I'm not going to get vaccinated just for the Met Gala. And so then conversations just kept evolving from there, and we got to where we are today. So, Nicki is actually suspended from Twitter right now. I don't know if it's permanent, but they didn't like some of the tweets and stuff she was putting out. She's in Twitter jail, y'all. So she says she was just asking some questions. Oh, I think it's because she wanted to know. I don't know what specific tweet did it, but she was going to, if she was going to talk to people at the White House, she wanted people to submit their questions so she could actually relay those things to the experts. I don't know if she's gonna still go or still have the phone call. I don't think she should bother doing it because obviously they want to use her as some kind of prop, which they have reached out to other influencers to promote the vaccine. Like they had that young girl who Olivia Rodrigo or something like that, who's like, good for you. I think that's her song. It's on TikTok. It's very popular on that app. But I when I saw her, heard her name, I didn't know she was famous or anything. She was just there at the White House. And so they used her, and they're really pushing it for young people to get it, which I thought was super weird. Like, if you're older, I totally understand. And if you have comorbidities, I totally understand. But there are side effects to the vaccine. And the myocarditis, I think that's how you say it. There are young people who are getting that. There are some people who have died from that, from the shot. So if you're a healthy person with a healthy immune system, you need to have an honest conversation with you and your doctor and your family about whether you want to introduce that into your body. If you decide to get it, that's totally up to you. I think it's up to you. But if I say something like that, that's not what the White House wants to hear. That's not what the media wants to hear. They don't think you should have really a choice in the matter. And that's why Biden and them are like pushing the mandates. And there was actually someone who voted for Joe Biden, who he was a scientist, who tweeted out that he regrets his vote because his speech was crazy. And it doesn't make any sense because there is no consideration for people who have natural immunity. So them pushing natural not taking into account that people have antibodies and natural immunity, that's actually better than the actual vaccine, is crazy. And then people are trying to say, well, you don't have to take the vaccine. You can be tested every week. Well, people with a vaccine can still get the virus. So why aren't we testing everybody every week? The answer is that you want to make life so uncomfortable until you break people's will. So Joe Biden has a tyrannical view of how to govern, and it's really silly, and we'll get into that further. But I don't think Nicki should probably go, in my opinion, because they're just going to want to use her. But if she reach out to her fans like, hey, give me your questions or concerns and I will relay them. So it kind of sounds like she's ready to grill them, which good for her. Good for her. But I don't know exactly what was the tweet that made her get kicked off. But I do want to show you some of her tweets. So someone said, y'all acting like this virus come with no side effects make me not want to take it even more. And she said, that's where they keep missing the mark. It'll scare people even more. Can't joke their way out of it. Can't try and make people look stupid. Can't say they've tested everyone in their country and this never happened. They do protest too much. Don't just say everything has side effects and go. So that's true. Everything does have side effects, and there are funds for if you have vaccine harm, and our government pays for that. I think it's curious that the pharmaceutical companies don't have liability, or your jobs are trying to make you forced to take it don't have liability. You would have to go to the government. There's like a special thing set up, but it's your own taxpayer dollars that would pay if there is harm. So I think people would feel a lot better if someone else was willing to take that liability. But it's curious that you just throw caution to the wind and liability to the wind, and someone else has to pick up the tab and it's you. So if someone else is willing to say, yeah, I would put my reputation, my money, my everything on the line for you to take this vaccine because I think it's that safe, maybe you would make people feel a little more comfortable about it. And by the way, it's not that I don't feel uncomfortable with it. I have my own opinions, but I really do not like the forced stuff. That's, like I said, that's a hill I think people vaccinated, whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, that's where you should be willing to die on, the hill you should be willing to die on. So Tucker Carlson decided to talk about Nicki Minaj. So, which, who wouldn't? It's a popular thing. So I'm going to play a little bit of his take on it.
Oh, he's fine. It's Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend's testicles who are swollen from taking the vax. That's the claim. But it's not anything to do with the physical effect of the vaccine that makes our political class mad. It's the last part of Nicki Minaj's tweet that enrages them. The part where she says you should pray on it, make the decision yourself like a free human being, and, quote, don't be bullied. So our media and public health officials didn't like this because they make their livings bullying people. So they couldn't let it stand.
So Nicki Minaj had that clip, and she tweeted it out, and she had a bullseye. She didn't say anything. She just had a bullseye on it. So people were upset that she tweeted out a video of Tucker Carlson, and people were saying, Nicki, he's a white supremacist. Tucker Carlson is not a white supremacist. So you people out there, you're delusional. And so Nicki didn't even care about that. She said, right, I agree with, even look at someone from a particular political party. People aren't human anymore. If you're black and a Democrat tells you to shove marbles up your butt, you simply have to. If another party tells you to look out for that bus, stand there and get hit. So Nicki realizes that we're not allowed to speak, disagree, think, or whatever. We have to get permission for those things. And if you think the wrong way, you have to be attacked and ridiculed and lied on and so on. So, and she sees, and she has mentioned that it's the Democrats doing that. And I mentioned briefly at the end of my program yesterday that a dear friend of ours who's been a Democrat, to my sister's despite my sister's best efforts, this person has been a Democrat for a very long time. And so she tweeted out, and there's pandemic stuff she didn't like. She didn't like all the lockdown stuff. And this is a nurse, by the way. But just from a freedom aspect, like, we need to assume our own risk. People still need to go out and live their lives, and trying to keep every in and sign and just pump the brakes on the whole entire world doesn't make any sense. So she wrote on Facebook, she's like, I don't agree with the Republicans on everything, but I can't do the Democrat Party anymore, that they're trying to force things inside of us, take away our wills and our rights. And so she can't, she's like, eyes wide shut. Because there's too many people willing to go along, to get along, and she's like, I'm done. I clearly see what they're doing, and I can't condone I can't rock with that anymore. And so it was amazing to see. I'm not saying that she's gonna march at the next Trump rally. And a lot of people, regardless of the fact that the media lied about a lot of stuff involving Trump, there's some people who you will never get to see beyond that. But there are people who saw the lies, and they're like, oh my gosh, if they're lying about this, what else are they lying about? And there's a lot of people who testify to that effect. But the highest ethnic group of people not vaccinated are Black people. So I wonder how far Democrats are really willing to push this. And maybe they're making a gamble that they can get enough people to change their minds that this won't be an issue. So someone like Nicki Minaj, who I wouldn't take medical advice from because she's just a rapper. She's I'm not saying she's not good with business. I'm not saying that she's not smart. I'm not saying that she's not talented that she doesn't have area of expertise and doesn't research and knows other stuff. But if you're taking life advice instead of like someone who knows your medical condition and going to the doctor and all that, like, you have other problems. You have other problems if that's just your go-to. But what she is doing is just saying, this doesn't pass the sniff test. And they can't allow someone like her to break rank, because it will make other people continue to break rank, or if they didn't break rank before, they'll keep breaking rank. That's why they have to go at her hard. That's why they have to destroy her. Don Lemon went on a rant the other day about unvaccinated people, and I want to play a little bit of it.
I think we have to stop coddling people when it comes to this and the vaccine, saying, oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are. The people who aided and abetted Trump are stupid because they believed his big lie. The people who are not getting vaccines, who are believing the lies on the internet instead of science, it's time to start shaming them. What else? Or leave them behind. Because they are keeping the majority of Americans behind. You didn't feel that way about the polio vaccine. You don't feel that way about measles, mumps, rubella when it comes to your children, and all of a sudden this vaccine is different. What's different about it? The only different thing about it is because of your politics today. The people talking about, well, I don't know what's in the shot, Chris. I don't know what's in that shot.
I'll tell you what's not in it.
Hold on,
a tracking device.
Yeah. Let me finish this. You know what they get shots in nowadays? In their rear ends. They're getting shot.
Here. And well, I don't know. I was going to say a joke, but you guys can probably guess where I was going to go from there. But with Don Lemon, look, he mentions a big lie and all the other kind of stuff. These dummies push the Russia hoax non-stop. These people cover for Biden, and these folks lie to your face blatantly, and their fact checkers are like, oh, it's our vacation time. We'll catch you another 4 years or 8, whatever. they will crawl on broken glass to defend the stupidity of the Biden administration because that's their guy, that's their team. If you want to talk about verifiably dumb stuff that they pushed, CNN pushed a lot of misinformation over and over again. And mind you, he's saying all this stuff right next to Chris Cuomo, who had his brother on, and they're having all these routines about COVID while he's like covering and having a scandal involving like covering up numbers from people dying in nursing homes. And then he's also a serial sexual assaulter as well. Not Chris, Andrew, who was the governor of New York. But something Chris did, CNN put on a whole lockdown with Chris Cuomo. I got the COVID, what it's like to have it. Oh, it's so hard, it's tough. You know, I work out, I'm trying to, keep my strength up. Blah, blah, blah. And this man leaves while having COVID to go check out a new property that's being built. Those are the kind of people trying to lecture you. FYI. Those are the kind of people. Don Lemon, who will get up and lie about, Trump telling people to drink bleach, which didn't happen. If you don't know that, that's absurd. And it was always absurd. But people have such deep confirmation bias that they push what they want to push. And Don Lemon isn't a stupid man. He just knows the sort of audience he's catering to, which Nicki Minaj called out Don Lemon too, and also called him an Uncle Tom sort of slur. So, which is interesting because the same kind of juxtaposition when she called out Joy, she mentioned that there were two white men there nodding in agreement while she was talking to bring her down. And he's on screen talking to Chris Cuomo. He probably should have did that alone. So the White House, he tweeted out or talked about the White House said that there was a phone call, that they agreed to have a phone call. And she said, no, they invited me to the White House. And she says that she's the one who brought up the phone call. And these people are saying people shouldn't have a choice about what they put in their body, and people are dumb because they don't ask questions about other things. Perhaps people should take better care of their bodies. And there's a lot of people saying, my immune system, and they're not healthy. But people still have the right to assume those risks. Do you know what was free healthcare back in the day? The healthcare they were offering to the black people who participated in the Tuskegee experiment, who they were studying to see the effects of syphilis. And that was not too long ago in our country. And I know that's the big one people bring up. But again, it wasn't too long ago in the country, and it was a racial thing, and it was something that our government did. But I don't have to go back that far. People will look you dead in your eye and say that killing babies is healthcare. And I don't know if that triggered somebody. I'm rabidly against abortion, but they'll totally ignore that there's a man who helped to procreate that child, and they will definitely ignore the fact that there is a child there. And they will just look you dead in the eye and call it women's health care without acknowledging the child there at all, because that makes things too inconvenient. The White House dodged a question when someone said, does President Joe Biden think a 15-week fetus is human? And Jen Psaki dodged the question. These are the people who are making life and death decisions for you. Well, they shouldn't, because you are responsible for yourself. You are responsible for yourself. And so Nicki Minaj said that Dr. Fauci, I guess, and other people is who were going to talk to her. But mind you, Dr. Fauci has lied about a lot of things. I was trying to find this clip. Maybe I'll play it tomorrow because I saw it a few days ago and I thought I had downloaded it. But Dr. Fauci from a few years ago, he was having an interview and he was asked, like, what do we do if there's some kind of infectious disease breakout? Do we have to wear masks? And he's like, no. He said there's not anything you can do. He's like, try to build up your immune system. He's like, exercise, eat healthy. He's like, he didn't say anything about masks aren't going to work. All this kind of stuff that we're doing right now, it isn't, or stuff that he's in a non-politicized time. It's like, no, that stuff's not gonna do anything. And then at first he told you masks don't work, and then they changed their mind. And then he was vaccinated and still wearing masks, and Rand Paul's like, this is theater. You're vaccinated. Why do you have a mask on? He's like, it's not theater. Oh my gosh. Even though when he like threw a baseball at some game, he had the mask on, and then when he's in the stands next to somebody, his masks are off. At the 9/11 event they had with the ex-presidents, they all had their masks and stuff on for the cameras. When the cameras are off, whoop, masks are down. There's theater to it. And some people, they're not putting it on because they believe in it so much, but they know other people get mad at them, so they want to make sure when cameras are on, they're putting it on. But there's some people who are totally playing a theater game. And so what happened after Joe Biden was like, okay, masks are coming off. You don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated. Fauci was then like, oh, well, you know what? Well, I didn't want someone to see me without a mask on because, we're telling people to wear masks. But now I don't have to. So it was theater. Maybe you're doing it for the public good and public interest, but it was still theater. So Rand Paul was right. Rand Paul was right about a lot of things, including natural immunity. And Rand Paul was right about Dr. Fauci and having a connection to the Wuhan lab where they were, working on this kind of stuff. And the lab leak theory is probably true. The Intercept did a huge article on it they said they had 900 pages from a FOIA request about them testing bats, people being afraid about testing bats and stuff. And there's a connection to the group that Dr. Fauci is the president of, and they don't even have his name on there in the article because they're trying to protect him. So just FYI, I think if you want to take it, and if you're vulnerable, I totally understand you doing that. But if you think that the government is owed our trust, you're wrong. And if you think that they should be able to have that sort of power to just inject you with anything, I don't know where we're going if that's where we're at, where everybody just wants to lay down and take it. So Nicki said some very interesting things from her Instagram live, and I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it because she said that there's other people out there like her, other artists who feel the same way, but they're just too afraid to say anything. So we're about to go on a journey together and listen to this.
Oh, hey, Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy, tell him. Wait, so hold on. Let me get...
Oh, just FYI, there will be swearing in this. There is a button in that I have for like swear words, but I'm not too great with a censor button. So FYI, you had your warning.
this straight. Let me get this straight. I see there was another Uncle Tamiana speaking on my name. Let me ask y'all something. In the 10, 12, 13 years, how many ever years you guys have known of me, do y'all think that I would go on the internet and lie about being invited to the fucking White House? Like, what? Do you guys see what is happening right now? Oh my goodness. If y'all don't see, it's not even surprising to me that they had to use one of us. Like I said, the first time they used one of us, she was the first person that was used. Now they just use this man to come out and put this thing out saying that I wasn't I wasn't invited to the White House. Do y'all think I would lie about being like, what? Like what? So tomorrow when I do a call with my management and my publicist, who I follow both of them. You can go follow Sal and from Sal X Co and follow Joe, my publicist who works with Republic Records. They were on the phone call. And you know what the request was? We'd like to offer Nicki an invitation to come to the White House to speak with two people, the two names, what is that man's name? Dr. Fauci, and with the Surgeon General. And do you know what I said? I said, well, I would rather not have to travel. Can we do something like a live? And they said that they're open to me choosing a platform to do a live, but they have never taken that off the table for me to come to the White House. And so I said I would like to do. The other question is, they asked me would I like to do a private live or I'm sorry, a private conversation or a public live. And I said it would not feel genuine if it was something that I discussed with them only privately, because then it would come off disingenuous to my fans, because it would sound like I was kind of like selling them the vaccine, and everyone agreed. So at around 5-6 o'clock, about 3 hours ago, they got back on the phone with my management and my publicist and said, they weren't too happy about me letting people know that I was going there, etc. Anyway, but do you guys think that I would make that up? So now this man tried to come on Twitter to try to make a fucking fool out of me. Sweetheart, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm not one of those people that y'all are going to be able to do this with, sweetheart. Okay? See, the minute you guys started going this hard is when this seemed strange to me. Like, and I'm not talking about the representative that Joe and Sal spoke to today. I'm talking about just the Democratic Party in general, and so many people jumping at the chance to, okay, well, we can't make fun of the actual story anymore and talk about testicles and balls till they drop dead and make that a joke. So now we have to attack her personally. I want you guys to see what is happening. And they had to make sure it came from a black person first, because if it came from a white person, the black people would be like, oh, you're racist in this. So let's peep this. The first attack was from a black woman. Now, this thing to assassinate my character is
Black
from
woman,
Uncle
Reed.
Tamiana, black, quote unquote, black man. When 80% of the artists that y'all following right now feel like I feel about the vaccine and are too afraid to speak on it. And guess what they're doing right now? If they assassinate me and assassinate my character and make me look crazy or stupid, guess what? No one else will ever ask questions again.
She is 100% correct about that tactic. They don't want anyone else to ask questions. They don't want anyone else to step out of line. Right now it's about this, but that's just generally how they are with the you have to toe the line of the Democrat Party. If whatever agenda or message or whatever they're pushing out, if you don't agree with that, then you're a crazy person. You're an Uncle Tom. You're whatever you have to be, a homophobic, racist, bigot, sexist, whatever. They'll throw all those things at you, trying to make you look crazy and like a fool. And Nicki don't seem like no fool, by the way. I don't know much about Nicki. I don't follow her page. I don't listen to her music. Of course I've heard Super Bass, but it's a fun song, like when you're exercising. Like I used to there was a routine that they had when I used to go to Lifetime Fitness, and Just Dance, of course, is on there. So of course I've heard Super Bass and stuff like that, but I don't know too much of what she would say outside of like this situation, but I've seen other rappers get involved with talking about these kind of issues, and she seems more of a critical thinker than some other folks. So, but she's correct. And I think it's interesting that she says, because obviously she must have this opinion because she's talked to other artists about their hesitancy, but they don't want to upset the gravy train, the money, whatever. And I understand that. But some people will toe the line, and for the sake of politics. But there's some people who just want to stay out of that stuff, period. And I get that, I respect that. But there's some people who just do whatever out of fear. So she's making a great point that they don't want to say anything, and she has to be the person they come out and destroy, because if they can silence her, then they can silence other people. They want to bully you into submission. Now, the interesting thing about this is she says the harder they come at her, the more suspicious she is. So sometimes you just need to leave people alone, because sometimes you give them more power, the more that you speak and try to destroy them. You strike them down, they'll come back twice as strong, or whatever Obi-Wan said when Vader struck him down. They'll come back twice as strong. If you would have just left them alone and let it been like a funny joke, that would have been one thing. Just let the Twitter deal with it talking. But it's news story after news story, and Don Lemon's going on angry rants about people take stuff in the butt all the time. I'm sure you do, Don Lemon. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do, Don. But that still, regardless, if people eat things that are bad for them, people smoke they'll do weed, which smells disgusting. I don't know how people do it. But people make bad decisions, but those are their decisions to make. And the crazy thing about the vaccine is you can still get it, you can still spread it if you have the vaccine. So that is something that you would take to protect you. So instead of trying to demonize everyone else, you need to make the case that this is the best thing for you. This is the best thing for you. But when you say you're stupid, you're dumb, blah, 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 and you're attacking all these people and you're trying to discredit them, that's when they start, like, something's not right here. Why are you pushing it so hard? That's what doesn't make, again, I already mentioned this, but doesn't make sense about Biden and the administration pushing the mandates so hard and saying, well, you got to do the weekly test. Well, everybody can still get it. So why wouldn't everybody do the weekly testing? Because you want to break their will. And why aren't you considering people who've already had it? Why aren't you considering the fact that they have antibodies? If they're still there, they're still lasting, they have better protection than people who are actually vaccinated. So why isn't there any consideration? It's not trust the science or denying the science. There's obviously a political agenda here. Just like there was a political agenda when you guys undermined the vaccine when Trump was president and saying, I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. Let me see if I still got that video that the RNC did on here about vaccine hesitant. I do. All right, the GOP cut this video. They just took clips of Biden and Kamala and other people undermining the vaccine.
I think it's going to be a very skeptical American public about taking the vaccine, and they should be.
We can't trust the president and take his word and take a vaccine that might cause harm to us.
If and when the vaccine comes, and it's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done.
Let's just say there's a vaccine that is approved and even distributed before the election. Would you get it?
Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us.
When we finally do, God willing, get a vaccine, who's going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot?
We will need to have access to the vaccine results so we can make our independent assessment to make sure that Donald Trump's fingerprints are not on it.
You can be the first one to say, sign me up. They now say it's okay.
Is the vaccine safe? Frankly, I'm not going to trust the federal government's opinion. And I wouldn't recommend to New Yorkers based on the federal government's opinion.
And the question of whether it's real when it's there, that requires enormous transparency.
Would you trust that vaccine?
There's very little that we can trust that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth.
We cannot take for granted this process will be free of political influence.
I don't trust the president, and I don't trust the FDA.
If Donald Trump can't give answers and the administration can't give answers to these three questions, the American people should not have confidence.
You're going to say to the American people now, here's a vaccine, it was new, it was done quickly, but trust this federal administration and their health administration that it's safe?
I will say that I would not trust Donald Trump.
How confident are you in the approval process of the FDA right now?
How confident am I? I'm not that confident.
Yes, I would be hesitant, but I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
You're going to need someone other than this FDA and this CDC saying it's safe.
You got to make all of it available to other experts across the nation so they can look and see. So there's consensus, this is a safe vaccine.
What I'm worried about is that there's some sort of October surprise and that there is a pressure put on the decision makers here to announce a vaccine in October of 2020.
We're going to put together our own group of doctors and medical experts to review the vaccine and the efficacy and the protocol. And if they say it's safe, then I'll go to the people of New York and I will say it's safe.
But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Okay, so FYI, Donald Trump said to take it, but Kamala is now telling you all to take it. And the reason why they can do that is because she's the vice president and Trump's no longer the president and Joe Biden's the president. They did so many political things. They made it so political. There was no reason to make it so political. Like, we got to make sure Trump's fingerprints on it. He's not in the lab making it. They just gave out so much of our money to these companies so they could do it. But the private sector did this. But the pressure, something's not adding up here. Something isn't adding up here. If it was more effective, you have a better argument, I guess. And I'm not saying people shouldn't get it. I think it makes a lot of sense for some people to get it. But you can't pretend that people who want to know the long-term effects aren't people who make sense either. You can't pretend those people don't make sense. So the pushback on these people and pretending like they're crazy and like you should force them down to take it, and then that they're literally killing people. I did not get the screenshot, but there was apparently, my sister asked me about this because she saw it on TikTok, so she didn't know it was legit or not. But apparently CNN repeated the story. But someone died. Someone died, and they were vaccinated. But family had it put in the obituary that they were vaccinated, but she caught it from someone who was unvaccinated. So Joe Biden is like, you need to get it because we need to protect the vaccinated people. That was supposed to be the purpose of the vaccine. That was supposed to be the purpose of the vaccine. So you shut down the whole country after lie after lie. We just need to figure out what's going on here. We're overwhelming the hospitals. We need to shut things down. We need 15 days. 15 days to slow the spread. And they still just didn't want the hospitals to be overwhelmed. And they kept it longer and longer and longer. And let's be real, they used it to their political advantage because they didn't like the guy in the White House. And at first, it seemed like we were going to come together. Trump had plans. They were like, we're going to get the private sector involved. We're going to do this. We have the team. The governors were like, the White House is actually doing a good job. Even Cuomo and Newsom, they're like telling the media, like, I know you guys want us to trash him. We want to trash him, but we can't really trash him right now. But then there was some kind of consensus where the Democrats and the media, they clicked. And they're like, no, we can squeeze this pandemic for everything it's worth. And by the way, after the election was over, LA County announced that they were doing more lockdowns and more mandates. So you get what you vote for, California. You get what you vote for. You get what you vote for. So they didn't want, it became obviously clear that we were waiting for the vaccine to come through, to come in and save us all so we can go back to normal life. And they didn't want that to happen before the election, so they started undermining it in case that happened. And even at the last debate, they're like, well, you said it was going to be here. It's not here. And Trump's like, no, it's coming. And they're like, and they just kind of act like he was a liar. Like, well, that's what you said before, but it's not here. But they were developing it. And when it was clear he was not going to be the president anymore, Pfizer was like, oh, we have a vaccine. It's like 94% effective. If it was 94% effective, you knew some time ago that you were basically at the cusp of it, dude. So that same vaccine that they were so scared about is the same one they're trying to make you take. So you have to understand a lot of this is politics. And people like Nicki, and she said in her tweets that she'd probably just have to get it because she wants to go on tour. And there's other people that she's talked to in her family in Trinidad. They're just like, they have to take it or they can't go to work. And so she's saying people probably have to take it because they got to work, right? So you should probably take it. So a little bit, she was like kind of giving into their propaganda, like them, the stranglehold of you got to do it. But now they're ticking her off so much and pushing her and lying on her and demeaning her so much. She's like, this doesn't add up. She could have just been the funny laugh at story, leave it at that. And now she, I don't know. I'm not saying she's going to lead to a revolution, but maybe there's some other people asking questions. And I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy of it ultimately not being safe. That's not the conspiracy I'm trying to say, but this is odd that they are forcing the mandates to come down using OSHA to make it so you have to choose between feeding your family and getting the vaccine, that many nurses are quitting. And that's why we have hospitals overwhelmed. It's not because there's so many people who have COVID in the hospitals, but because they don't have enough staff. And there's a bed to nurse ratio. So they're not going to admit you if there's not a bed for you. So if they can't treat you, that's where the holdup is. It's not because there's just so many people overwhelming the hospitals with COVID. They are overwhelmed, but it's because there's a lot of staff leaving. And some of it is burnout. Some of it is that people get paid more money being a traveling nurse. But some of it is they don't want to take it. And I've seen so many people mention how they're leaving the hospitals or being fired because of it. And Joe Biden's like, if you get if your place is paid by Medicaid and stuff, then you can't work there. You can't work there unless you do. I don't even know if he did the testing for options for like in nursing homes and stuff. I don't even know if that was a thing. But these people were heroes before. The people you had to prop up as the innocent heroes. Like you have to stay home because you don't want to have to see these people in the hospital. And that's like, well, you guys can't have a job, even though they worked through the pandemic. They worked through the pandemic. Why not test all these people for antibodies? They're here. They survived it. But what does it matter? Because there's no consideration for the people who have natural immunity. And that's why it's insane. There's no consistency. There's no science behind this. It's political. And Nicki is starting to see that. So she's questioning. She's questioning. I'm going to see. There's some other stuff. I'm going to play a little bit more.
Don't you see what's happening? And y'all sitting around fucking laughing? You think I would fucking come out my wake up and say, I'm gonna make up a lie about being invited to the White House? What? The fuck I look like? It's disgusting that a person can't speak about just questions or thoughts they're having about something that they're going to have to put in their body. That this attack is this hateful and purposeful. You see, they have to get people who can just get up there and be like, oh yeah, child, and make women of color look fucking dumb. They can't deal with smart women. Whenever a smart woman challenges anything, they get called a bitch or crazy. Pick one or both. So you guys ask yourself a question. When have you ever known me to say some shit like that? Somebody fucking invited me. Someone get the fuck out of here. And y'all sitting up here kiki-keying and laughing and not realizing what's right in front of your fucking eyes. AKA, don't question me, you black bitch. Don't question what's going on, ho. Fuck, you can't see that. Gonna use this Uncle fucking Tommyana, and so many of y'all got y'all say all this shit on the internet wouldn't fucking make a fucking peep in real life. To these artists that y'all tweet and comment every fucking day.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. I don't know what else will be said, but yeah. So she's right. There's the internet gives a lot of people a lot of courage to say a lot of things that they really shouldn't, and some of them are really gross. And I've had people say really gross things about me, and I don't condone all the things that she said in the foul language. But she is correct that if you go off script, they want to tear you down, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Gina Carano situation with the Star Wars. And because she was on the show Mandalorian, and she didn't put her pronouns in her bio, so people came for her. And so she wrote beep bop boop to kind of mock it. And not mock people with gender dysphoria, but to mock people who would want to bully her and pressure her into doing that. And so there were other tweets that were conservative sounding, and eventually she made a tweet that was in reference about basically tattling on your neighbors, but it was like a Holocaust reference. And so then they're like, oh, she's not working with Lucasfilm Disney anymore, she's done. And but not only did they slandered her, they mischaracterized her tweet and said that she was basically disrespecting people of faith, like of the Jewish community. She did nothing of the sort. So they lied on her, demeaned her, but when she started telling more of the story about how Disney wanted her to apologize, and she said, I don't mind apologizing, but I'm going to do it in a sincere way. And so when she explained her side, they're like, the problem is that you're thinking and you have all these facts and stuff, and you're thinking logically, and people just kind of want an emotional like appeal. And so she's just like, I don't want to be disingenuous. And so they wanted her to get on a phone call with like 40 LGBT people, and to me it just sounded like they just wanted all these people to kind of yell at her or just heard her nod and be like, yes, I'm a terrible white woman. And she's like, I don't want to do that, because it just sounded like a setup. So she said, how about I take them out to dinner? I'll look into their eyes, they'll look into my eyes, we'll have a conversation, and we're all human, like they can see. And Disney didn't want to do that. And after she wouldn't like comply the way that they wanted her to comply, they took her off like tours and other kind of promotions for the show. And so they didn't have any contact with her, according to her anyway, until that moment. They're like, oh, she's not working with us anymore. And the most interesting thing about that story was that she was really kind of new getting into the realm of politics. She was looking up things, and I don't know what her family background is to kind of give her a right skew. But when you all come at her and attack her, you're just pushing her more like toward the right. Because when you want to demean someone like that, some people are scared and they're silenced. But sometimes you're just forging a sword in the fire. So, and then they see that you're scared of what I have to say. You're scared of me thinking. You're scared of what? Conversations? That makes me more curious. So they could have had conversations with her and tried to keep them on their leftist side. But what did they do? They pushed her into the arms of the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro. So that's what you folks did with Gina Carano. So someone in the comments, and I showed it, said we should send Nicki Minaj a gift basket. And perhaps we should. Perhaps someone should. She should go on the Candace Owens show or something. She's welcome to come on Black Tea anytime. wonder how that happened. I think this story is really interesting, and there's a lot of interesting things that she is saying about there's other people who feel the same way, but they're not going to speak out because they're afraid and so on. But if other people aren't willing to stand up and say, hey, it's not right how we're just kind of forcing everybody to do everything that we want, they're going to just keep forcing people to do what they want. So someone has to stand up and say something. And it looked like before that Nicki was really on the side of just complying because she said she wants to go on tour. So she already admitted that she basically was defeated. And so now they have got the cogs in her, the wheels and stuff, their cogs in her mind just kind of turning. And so she's like, something doesn't add up. So it's definitely interesting. And I think this might be a case of Democrats push too far. They push too far. And you know what? Sometimes they push people in California, and at the end of the day, they still want to be bound. But sometimes you push and you push and you push, like the cancel culture and the craziness of the intersectionality and all that kind of stuff during the Obama era. And sometimes you push, and you get a Trump. So we will see what happens with Nicki, and we will see what happens with other people. But I think they're playing a game. There's a lot of black people who that don't trust the vaccine, whether it's because they just don't trust it, because they want to wait, or because of history, really valid history. And which history is accessible to all, so it's totally legitimate if a white person's like, I remember what they did in those Tuskegee experiments. It's totally legitimate. So they're the ones who aren't vaccinated. So are they going to risk playing games with that base? So they wanted everyone to just comply, and I think that's really what they're concerned with Nicki Minaj, making people think like, this is weird. And it is weird. It is totally weird. It is totally weird. Whether you're vaccinated or not, it's weird. So I'm done with the Nicki story. We've talked like a whole hour basically on it. It's an interesting story. It definitely is. Really quickly, I want to just mention, did you guys see this? Have you seen this with Meghan Markle and Harry? So I didn't see the rest of the photos that they had, but man, why would you make a photo like this? He looks so beta. He's royalty, and he looks so beta. I don't know why she'd be like, oh, that looks great, or why he would look great, and his publicist be like, oh, that's okay, and I can see why her publicist would be like, oh, that's great, but he's the man. Yeah, they could at least be like standing side by side, or just like a power, but she's really domineering, and he just looks so beta. If that was me and we got photos like that, I don't know if it's supposed to look like he's protecting her or something, but it doesn't. It looks like he's in her shadow. Like he has to ask her for permission to hold her purse. I don't like it at all. I don't. And if I got that and I was married to him, I'd be like, we need to retake these photos, or we need to choose a different one. This is not the one that should be in the cover. That's my opinion. You guys can let me know in your comments. It looks way too beta for me. It looks way too beta for me. And I don't know if some of that is just bias as well, because a lot about their relationships and interviews and stuff seems really beta, or he comes off really beta. I think I heard someone say like he was fighting for his country, and now he's just defeated by Rachel Zane from Suits. So it's funny. Last thing I want to talk about is there's a news story that the White House is rationing COVID treatments because of equity, I guess. And states that are using it, states that need it, like Florida, they don't want it to be used. And give me 1 second. Before I play that, I do have a clip about the Mark Milley situation. Joe Biden was asked, did they care, I guess. What did they have to say about him? I did put this on my Facebook yesterday, and White House says they have full confidence.
Thank you all for being here, and thank you.
Come on, guys.
Sir,
Thank
did
you, guys.
General
Thank you.
Milley
Let's-
do
come
the
on,
right thing,
come on,
sir?
Thank you. Let's
In
go.
your
Thank you,
opinion,
guys. Thank
did
you.
General
Come on,
Milley
let's go.
do the right
Thank-
thing?
I have
Thank you,
great
guys.
confidence in General Milley.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Great confidence in General Milley, who that's the guy who's like, I want to understand white rage, and that's why they're teaching critical race theory in the military. He went on a big rant comparing it to, like, I don't know, about January 6th and stuff, and he has just a really hysterical opinion on life. Of course, the Afghanistan pullout was terrible, and heads should really roll for that. They have an excuse to make his head roll, to just fire a bunch of people, particularly him. And he's one of those people who lied about, like, the strike was true. The strike was true about the drone strike that killed a humanitarian who wanted to be a refugee to America, and it killed kids. They're like, well, there was a secondary bombing. No, there wasn't. There wasn't. And so, turns out when Trump was president, he had a cushy relationship with China and was like, hey, in case we attack, and it didn't seem like that was something that we were really concerned about just happening. Like, I think we're always a little concerned, but how close was Trump to waging war on China, all-out war? I guess that wasn't a thing, but he told China that I would give you guys a heads up. And Bob Woodward wrote that in his book, and it has been confirmed that is true. Only two people probably knew about the conversation, right? So did the Chinese general tell Bob Woodward that, or did Milley tell him that? And Milley probably told the person writing a book about it because they just feel so self-righteous that that's the thing about their duty, and they were doing the good moral thing, just overstepping the authority, undermining the authority of the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief. So there should be huge blowback on this, but we have full confidence. That's crazy. So why won't you get rid of him after there's like a string of things that you could have probable cause? Is it because he knows too much? Does he know too much? Like, it doesn't make any sense. There's no accountability for this administration at all. And that is something that Biden promised would happen if he was president. But obviously he was lying, and I knew he was lying. And if you guys didn't know he's lying, shame on you. But obviously, there doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of accountability with the situation. We'll monitor it. We will monitor it. But I think people on the right and left need to be upset about this. Here's a clip of Jen Psaki.
And data available showed a waning efficacy of vaccines after a certain number of months.
Speaking of the waning efficacy of vaccines, I do have another question about the president's COVID plan. He promised on September 9th that he was going to send 50% more supply of monoclonal antibodies to states. Yet, the Biden administration is cutting supplies in red states by 50%. So, for example, in Florida, they were expecting to get 70,000 doses this week, which they say they need. They're only getting 30,000 doses. And this is not just for unvaccinated people. In South Florida, half the people who are seeking this treatment are fully vaccinated. So why is the Biden administration cutting these supplies?
That's not accurate. So let me give you the accurate information. First of all, we are increasing our distribution this month by 50%. In early August, we were distributing an average of 100,000 doses per week. Now we're shipping an average of 150,000 doses per week. Over the last month, though, and one thing that I think people need to understand for clarity, facts, I know you're like facts, is that monoclonal antibodies are life-saving therapies that are used after infection to prevent more severe outcomes. So clearly the way to protect people and save more lives is to get them vaccinated so that they don't get the COVID to begin with. But over the last month, given the rise in cases due to the Delta variant and the lower number of vaccination rates in some of these states, like Florida, like Texas, just 7 states are making up 70% of the orders. Our supply is not unlimited, and we believe it should be equitable across states across the country.
There's been no reports of a lack of supply, so why cut them to those states only if there's no reports?
I think our role as the government overseeing the entire country is to be equitable in how we distribute. We're not going to give a greater percentage to Florida over Oklahoma, nor do I think are you suggesting that. I think we have to move on. Go ahead, Yamiche.
Thanks so much. One follow-up question.
You got to move on. Did you notice how she's like, that's not accurate? And then she explained what they're doing and why they're doing it. And she said it in the name of equity. I hate that word. And people think equity is something that's going to solve our problems and something that is about fairness. Here's the deal. Florida uses that drug. They need that drug. They use that drug. And they're like, now we're not going to give it to you. Well, if people who need it are asking for it, why are you cutting their supply? Why are you? And then you're like, that's not accurate. And then you're like, but we're doing it because of equity. These people are the worst. They're just the worst. And I wonder how much of her life is just like this dishonesty, or is that just because of, I mean, it's her job. She has to spin it for her boss. Do they go out at home at night, stare at the ceiling, and just have an existential crisis about just how much they've lied throughout the day? I really wonder how things were at the height of like the Afghanistan mess of the pullout, because she was on vacation, Biden was on vacation, Blinken was in the Hamptons, and it was like vacation time. But they were very kind of slow coming back. They were very slow coming back. Way slower than they ought to be considering the situation. And why would you arrange a vacation at a time when they're like doing that kind of major pullout? Like that didn't make any sense either. So, oh Jen, oh Jen, oh Biden, that's the administration that we're working with. Save yourself if you can. Save yourself, because they're playing games with your life. So that is the show for today. I hope the tea was well worth it. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure that you go to blacktnews.com. Make sure that you check out different articles and things that I have there, that you're following me on all the social media, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. It's at Black Tea News. On Twitter, it's at True Black Tea. Please go to blacktnews.com/donate if you would like to donate to the show. This is your call to action. If you enjoy what I do, like what I do, I appreciate for everyone who shares it, who tells other people to watch, people who comment, like make things lively and so on. But I do ask that if you can, if you are able and you are willing to, please leave a donation at blacktnews.com. You can do so. Before I just had it set up with PayPal, but you don't have to make a PayPal account. You can just do your card if you want to do it that way. Also, please check out merchandise that I have on the website, like this "I'm Not the Victim You're Looking For" shirt. Yeah, I voted for President Trump, and all I got was historic peace stills, border security, ISIS destroyed, and all kinds of other stuff in this lousy t-shirt. This Be Better Not Bitter shirt, I'm really fond of that. Constitution is Glorious Liberty document. I got stuff Black Tea, and of course, You Are Not That Special shirt. And I got some other stuff that I'm working on that you guys, I'm sure, will love. But thank you guys so much. Looking forward to tomorrow, and some good news coming up, and I'll announce soon. But we got exciting things on the horizon. God bless you guys.